Select the one sentence that best meets the requirements of standard written English. A. Petito's death was ruled a homicide last month. On Tuesday, a coroner specified the cause of death as strangulation. This choice uses a comma to separate two independent clauses, an independent clause being a clause with a subject and a predicate. The subject of the first clause is Petito's death, with the predicate being was ruled, and the subject of the second clause is a coroner, with the predicate being specified the cause of death. On Tuesday is a time phrase that introduces the second clause and tells us when the coroner specified the cause of death. Now that we've established that we're dealing with two independent clauses, we can apply the rule that a comma is too weak to properly separate independent clauses. We could use a period, a semicolon, or a conjunction like and, but as a comma would be inappropriate here, we can mark this choice as incorrect. B. Petito's death was ruled a homicide last month. On Tuesday, a coroner specified the cause of death as strangulation. This choice corrects the mistake we saw in the last choice. Instead of using a comma to separate these two clauses, it uses a semicolon. As we've already established that this would be an appropriate way of separating these two independent clauses, this is likely our answer, but we can take a look at the rest of our choices just to be sure. C. Petito's death was ruled a homicide last month. On Tuesday, a coroner specified the cause of death as strangulation. This choice features two mistakes. The first is, again, separating the two clauses with a comma. This is already grounds to mark this choice as incorrect, but we can explain the second mistake as well. This choice inserts a colon before as strangulation. A colon's job is to introduce text, quotes, or to add emphasis or clarity. The words following the colon here do none of that. It's simply the natural end of the sentence. As neither the comma nor the colon is appropriate here, we can mark this choice as incorrect. And D. Petito's death was ruled a homicide last month, and on Tuesday, a coroner specified the cause of death as strangulation. As we've established, a semicolon separates two independent clauses. By placing the semicolon here, we're saying that the first clause is Petito's death was ruled a homicide last month and on Tuesday. It doesn't make sense to say it was ruled last month and on Tuesday, so it doesn't make sense to separate our two clauses here. Rather, like we saw in the previous choices, the clauses should be split before on Tuesday. This being the case, we can mark this choice as incorrect and mark our original answer, choice B, as our final answer.